I'm AC, and I'm on a mission to test out all the places going viral on social media. We're going to see if it lives up to the hype or if it's a travel nightmare.
If we get stranded out here, we're done for.
This is Destination Debunkers. This time, we're digging up the dirt on the Dead Sea. Israel is more than the conflict and political unrest seen on the news. Many people aren't familiar with the country's sun-kissed beaches, colorful markets, and landmarks rich with culture. We flew from JFK into Ben Gurion Airport, and the trip was not cheap. Plane tickets from New York into Tel Aviv can range from $900 to $1,100. Hopefully, it's worth the trip. So I've seen a lot of Instagram posts and pictures and videos about the Dead Sea. I'm excited about trying to float in the water. We'll see if that actually really happens. And I'm excited about all the health benefits. You know, the mud is supposed to be good for your skin. But pictures on the internet aren't always what they seem. We are going to be testing how crowded the area is. Is the mud really good for the skin? And finally, how well can you really float in the Dead Sea? About 1.74 million tourists and locals visit the Dead Sea a year. You'll find the area pretty packed during Jewish and Muslim holiday seasons, but spring and fall are usually the best times to go due to the milder weather. We decided to go in October, which was definitely a smart move. While there's dozens of hotels near the Dead Sea area, we opted to stay in Tel Aviv, about an hour and a half away. That way, we could see some landmarks in Jerusalem along the way there. We also decided to book a tour guide and shuttle service with Tourist Israel to get the full experience. Their round-trip Dead Sea shuttle is $55 per person. Our shuttle price included free entry into the Neve Midbar private beach on the northernmost part of the Dead Sea. Normally, visitors would expect to pay $20. Despite the touristy vibe, it was surprisingly not that crowded. I'm giving the crowd levels a thumbs up. The name, the Dead Sea, the sea part in particular, is actually somewhat misleading.
Sure.
Talk to us about what the Dead Sea actually is.
So the Dead Sea isn't a sea, it's actually a lake. It's bordered by Israel, the West Bank, and Jordan. It's fed by the River Jordan in the north. It's called dead because no life can be sustained in the water because of its high salty content.
So also here at the Dead Sea, there are these like natural mud deposits, and the mud is supposed to be really good for your skin, so we'll see how it is. This magic mud has been credited in helping soothe a number of skin ailments. But is there truth behind the talk? It turns out that the same minerals in the mud are actually in the water.
What's interesting though, it's not just the quantity of the salt in the Dead Sea, but actually the type of salt that's found. So unlike some other bodies of water which have a lot of sodium, the Dead Sea has a lot of magnesium, bromide, calcium, and potassium, and actually these may have true benefits for the skin. The thought is that sometimes some of these elements can actually help to thin out some of the thick skin that we see in certain skin conditions like psoriasis. The calcium may actually contribute to that smooth and oily component of the skin that happens when you get out of the Dead Sea. So yes, there are definitely real benefits that can be seen.
Dr. Garshik does say that the mud may temporarily improve the appearance of pores and wrinkles, but to get the full benefits, it would take about 2 to 4 weeks to see the most improvement. So, does the Dead Sea mud really work? A definite thumbs up. I've never felt more beautiful in my life. Next, it's finally time to float.
That's so cool. I'm like floating in the water. Ah. Okay, this is me doing literally nothing. All right, I'm gonna try to not float. Here's me not floating. I just can't reach the bottom.
So the salt content, 10 times more than any other sea in the world, means that you can't sink in the water. Actually, you can sink, but unless you really try to sink, you're gonna float. So that's why you see people with the famous picture lying in the Dead Sea with just their feet and their body above the water.
This is so relaxing.
It's not a myth, it's real.
I'm giving Dead Sea floating a huge thumbs up.
Whoa.
That's incredible.
Another huge reason to visit the Dead Sea while you can, it's beginning to disappear.
This building that we're standing in was constructed about 100 years ago, and it was a resort where all of the rich and famous people from the area, from Jerusalem, from Amman, came. Where we see the edge of the building was pretty well the waterline of the Dead Sea. Over the last 50 to 60 years, now it's receding by around 1 meter every year. The water source that feeds the Dead Sea, which is the River Jordan, is not providing enough water to the Dead Sea. More water is being taken out by the people, and less of it staying in the water system.
But there are plans to save the Dead Sea. There's talk of building a 125-kilometer pipeline from the Red Sea to feed the Dead Sea. But the plan requires coordination between Jordan, Israel, and Palestine. So yeah, you really do float in the Dead Sea. I knew, I've seen the pictures, I've seen the video, but I was still shocked that I was floating and it took no effort whatsoever. Also, I think we went at the perfect day and the perfect time. We went on a Monday and in the middle of October, and it was perfect weather today, absolutely amazing. And my favorite part was actually just putting the mud all over my face and my body and my skin. I wish you could feel it. It just feels so incredibly soft. The day has been unexpectedly amazing.